Hi, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of PNB is Listening for Black History Month, celebrating Black excellence in ballet. I'm so happy to be joined by three talented dancers of Pacific Northwest Ballet, Destiny Wimpye, apprentice, Audrey Malek, Corps de Ballet member, and Amanda Morgan, soloist dancer at PNB. Welcome, everyone. So thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. I just wanted to sort of start the conversation off by each of you briefly talking about your experience at PNB and maybe talking about one or two things that you enjoy about being a part or a member of Pacific Northwest Ballet at this time. So Destiny, why don't you start?
Okay, hi, I'm Destiny. So I'm an apprentice with the company, as Kiyon said. I just joined. But even just kind of being here and just experiencing like my first year in the company, it's been really amazing. I love the audience that PNB has. I just feel a lot of support when we're on stage and support with like the new works that they're doing and just different things that we bring to McCall Hall. But I think my favorite thing about being in the company or just PNB in general is that I feel like PNB gives opportunities to a lot of dancers, even though it is a ranked company, there's core members that get to do a lot of stuff during Nutcracker. And so that was kind of one of the things that drew me to PNB, just because I feel like it's really about the talent and the dancers that get, certain opportunities. So that's kind of one of my favorite things about the company.
And Destiny, you were in the professional division as well. Can you talk a little bit about, sort of like your transition into the company and how it's different?
Yeah, of course. So I was in the professional division for 2 years. And I think just the biggest difference, I mean, what I really loved about it was we got to kind of connect with the company members and talk to them sometimes in rehearsals. And so you kind of bridge the gap of like awkwardness, from being like a student to a professional. Um, we had a lot of classes, a lot of point classes and variations classes and different things like that. But I think working on next step with the company members is another thing that was really exciting. We're all kind of doing something new. Some choreographers might be choreographing for the first time. So we're kind of all having new experiences together. So that's what I really liked about the PD program as well.
Great, thank you. And Audrey, what about you? Briefly talk about your experience at PNB and what do you like about being in the company?
Well, I've had an excellent experience so far as someone that kind of just got here. I mean, everyone's just so warm and welcoming and approachable. So I would say that's one of the qualities I like about being at PNB. And another is that everyone is talented, but each dancer has their own quality that's unlike another.
And you came to us from another company. How was that transition, and why did you choose PNB to be your new dance home?
Um, I yes, I came from the Washington Ballet and I had an excellent experience there as well. I mean, they brought me in as a student and refined my technique as a late bloomer into a professional. I guess the reason why I made this transition was because I'm just, I guess, adventurous. I like to try new things and um yeah, like I want to stay connected everywhere, but I saw the repertoire and what there was to offer, and I've been following PNB since a child, probably like many people. So I was like, you know what? It was definitely a tough decision because it was like, do I want to stay in a company where they already know my strengths and weaknesses and they saw me from this like shy, timid little like girl in the back of the room, or do I want to go to a new company where they're seeing me as I am? And I think there are pros and cons with all of that. And I just decided, I'm like, why not? Let me go across the country and see what happens. So yeah, so far
Yeah,
it's been great.
Well, we are definitely glad that you chose PNB, and it can be a difficult decision for dancers to make that move from one company, as you said, somewhere where they know you and somewhere where you've grown up, to come to a new place and try something different. But there's a lot of growth in those kinds of risks that you take, right? And certainly, I think that choice is paying off for you now. It's nice seeing you on stage. And let's talk to Amanda now. Amanda, you've been at PNB for a very long time. You were in the school and you worked your way up through the school, through the PD program in the company, and now you're a soloist dancer. Talk about that experience for you, and why have you chosen to stay at PNB for such a long time? What keeps you here?
I think I've had this unique experience of being able to grow up in Washington State. I'm from Tacoma, Washington originally, and being able to grow up in the school, and then being in the company now and just kind of seeing how the company has shifted. I've loved that the company has always kind of upheld this artistic and technical excellence, just in the way that we approach everything that we do. And in general, all the dancers are so versatile. So it's not like they just do ballet or they just do contemporary. Really, everyone is able to kind of morph into whatever style is thrown at them. So I think that's really what keeps me here, for one. And then it's just the people, because I've grown up here. I've grown up with a lot of these people in the company with me, and so I do feel like this really is my family. PNB really is my family. So yeah.
Great, thank you. So, each of you is at a different stage in your career here at PNB. And so how important it is that you have one another for support when you look around the room and you see other dancers who look like you, and you see each of you in different ranks and have moved up through the company. How does that make you feel, that sort of encouragement?
I'll go, yeah. I mean, it makes me feel great. It makes me feel supported, obviously, and makes me feel loved. I definitely, well, to pull from some examples, I guess, I got to do Demi Flower this past like Nutcracker, and it was like kind of last minute. I kind of got thrown in, and I got to do it alongside Amanda, and so that was really special for me. Because I didn't think I'd ever obviously like dance maybe like next to Amanda. But so that was just a super awesome opportunity, and she was so nice and so supportive. So I just really felt comfortable to do it, even though I didn't really have much time to rehearse it. I still felt very like just supported and ready. And I felt that was probably one of my like favorite performances on stage, because I was so happy. And then same with Audrey, like backstage, I feel like we always talk to each other and like lift each other up. So it's just been really nice.
Audrey?
Yeah, honestly, it's inspiring. It feels really good. And this is also a perfect example of like Destiny's younger than me and Amanda is older. And it's cool to get that perspective from both of them and see where their journeys are and what's happening. So, yeah.
Amanda?
Yeah, I think for me, I've felt like I've had to kind of be a role model for some people, like even when I first joined the company, because there was no Black woman in the company then. But it has really helped me to want to be the best that I can be, not just for myself, but for, like our community, for the people that are younger than me, for the people that are going to step into these roles eventually, just like I'm doing. So I think it always just reminds me that my career is bigger than myself, and whatever I can do to like help encourage, those that are younger than me, like Destiny and Audrey and Ashton and Xylis, and everyone in the company, I'm going to do so because I believe in all of you so much. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's great. And it's so wonderful to hear. I was in the company for a long time, and for a lot of the time I was the only Black person in the company. And, just having other people to talk to who understand you is so helpful. And I'm so glad that you all now have that and have this built-in support system at work, to be able to talk about not only things that happen inside the studio, but other things that happen outside of the studio that you can relate to one another on. So it's a really beautiful thing to see. So going down that same vein, how have you seen the culture at PNB shift over these past few years in terms of equity, diversity, and inclusion?
well, I'll take this one because I've been here a bit. I think obviously we had a pandemic, and that was a major pause just for the arts community as a whole. And then we had this cultural shift that was happening with the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020. And so I think this really opened up a lot of space for us to kind of introspectively look at, organizations and how can we make things better? What are we missing out on? What people are we missing in the room? And PNB really just responded so well to that, and just kind of looked at every facet of the organization. So I think it's really shifted a lot since then because it provided the space to do so. I think PNB was thinking about this stuff. Other companies were thinking about, EDI work and things like that, but it really just takes like certain moments in time for that to kind of blossom. And so I think, yeah, when we were starting to come back after the pandemic, it seemed like PNB just blossomed in the sense of a new culture, in terms of diversity, gender, in gender and race, all of the above, kind of. And then I also have found that because the company is younger, there's so many people that left. It's kind of opened up this space too for younger people that are joining. Like it's a little bit not as hierarchical as other companies are, even though I see a principal here and then an apprentice here, all of us are conversing and not acting like all weird just because of what rank we're in. And I think that's a really important aspect to kind of have in our company.
Destiny and Audrey, do you feel that dancing here at PNB?
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, yeah, obviously I haven't been here for years where I've seen like the inner workings of a company that much. But yeah, I can kind of see what Amanda's talking about. But I haven't been here that long, I guess.
And Destiny?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was a PD, I was just kind of coming in. I think Ashton was doing like their like PD3 at the time, and if I'm doing the math right, I don't know. So I felt like a lot of things were kind of shifting and changing when I came. So I was kind of bearing witness to that. So I definitely agree. But I haven't been here that long, so I'm excited to see what else we can do.
Yeah, that's right. And I think what's really important is not just to, when we're talking about EDI work, not just to look at what's going on in the studio, but to look at what's going on in the entire organization. It really takes us as an entire community changing our mindset, changing the way that we show ourselves to the world, to really make those meaningful changes happen so that it's not just lip service. It's not something that we're just saying that we're doing or going to invest in, but it's something that we actually do. And I think that in all of my time here, this is the most diverse I've seen the company. And I've been here for over 20 years. And so just in the past, 7, 8 years, the company has really changed. I mean, the entire look of the company. And when I look down into the studios and see you all dancing so beautifully, I mean, I just feel so inspired, and I feel so lucky to work in a place that is willing to, make these meaningful changes and really demonstrate to the ballet world that it is possible to open your doors and broaden your horizons and accept everyone in, because ballet really is for everyone. It's not just for a certain group of people. And what I hope to see is that as we continue to move down this road, that we can see more people in our community get to see you on stage and come to the theater and feel comfortable coming to performances, just to diversify our audiences even more. So representation is a thing that we talk about a lot of times when we're talking about EDI work, and it's definitely important. And I think that, in recent years, we've made a lot of strides like we've been talking about. But now each of you has become, in some sorts, a role model for other young Black dancers. What does that mean to you? Destiny.
I can't. Okay. I mean, it means a lot to me. I feel like I touched on this too in the last PNB is listening thing that I did. I'm pretty sure, but I mean, I think it's just great to see yourself, doing something that you want to do. Like I grew up watching, like, a lot of DTH dancers, and even when we had that, combined class and they all came, I remember, like, I, like, cried, like, 5 times. So embarrassing. But, like, even just I walked in the studio and I was just like, "Oh my gosh," like, for the first time, like, not that it's a bad thing, but for the first time, I'm not a minority, like, in the room. And so it was just amazing to have other people who looked like me. I mean, so many people in that room I've looked up to for a really long time. Some of them taught me how to sew point shoes when I was younger, so it's just like a whole, like, full circle moment. But yeah, I just think seeing yourself doing, what you wanna do, whether that's in the arts, whatever you wanna do, I think just having representation, not just color, but shape, size, and everything is really important.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, it definitely means a lot to me if a younger person approaches me for advice and such. I don't think I thought that that would happen. Like a part of me when I was younger didn't think that I would get this far. And
Mm,
it's like, oh, like I'm in a I'm at PNB and I'm a company member. And even before, like at Washington Ballet, it's like, oh, I'm a professional, and these young people are actually looking up to me and like asking for my perspective. Which a part of that is like, okay, Audrey, like be careful, because but also it's just inspiring to see like young people working hard and I don't know, just being someone that they look up to. I didn't
yeah. Amanda.
Yeah, that's a good point, Audrey. I think honestly, it was like it wasn't until this year when I was promoted, and I'm like on the 50th anniversary poster, and I kind of like forget that because to me, like I'm just Amanda. I'm just Amanda doing choreographing. I'm just Amanda, dancing and working hard. And but then you go into a room of students or even people younger than you in the company, and then you're like, oh no 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 no, like you're not just you. Like you are a role model, whether you realize it or not. All of us are. And so for me, I think I've been thinking a lot about my legacy as a dancer,
Mhm.
um, not just like I want to do this part and this part and this part, but it's like what is my legacy going to be like when I'm no longer in this company, when I'm no longer able to dance? What can I leave behind that is going to be beneficial and helpful to for the next generation? That's why I wanted to help create PNB's mentorship program. That's why I want to be a choreographer and make stories that I feel like can represent, other people. Why I hope that we all are shifting kind of even just the cultural norms in dance when it comes to not just representation in the room, but like power dynamics, like how do we communicate with people at the front of the room? How do we make communication better in general, just in the ballet world? Those are kind of things that I think I've been thinking a lot about, which I think are influenced by these younger people looking up to me.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly right, Amanda. I think the first thing is that we're all humans first. We're humans before we're anything else, right? And I think that, learning how to communicate with one another and being compassionate and being caring, being respectful, all of those things are things that we do for human beings, no matter what they look like and no matter who they are, And so I think that just shifting that approach and not thinking sort of like in these hierarchies, like you were saying, but more as meeting each other as humans, that already changes, sort of the dynamics in the room and the dynamics of ballet in general, I think. Um, so did you all have role models growing up? I mean, when I was growing up, there weren't many, black faces on ballet stages. I mean, of course, Dance Theater of Harlem, amazing dancers there, and of course, I looked up to a lot of them. And another person who I also looked up to was the late Albert Evans, who was an incredible principal dancer at the New York City Ballet. He was so inspiring to me, and watching him do all of those roles on that big stage in New York City just made me believe that maybe it was possible for me to do those things as well. And so, what dancers inspired you when you were younger?
I'll say Ashley Murphy Wilson for sure. Yeah, I would say she was, like, back I don't know how many years ago when she still danced there, she was basically, like, I feel like on every poster, it was, like, Ashley Murphy doing, like, a 4th position or something, and, yeah, that was crazy because then when she went to Washington Ballet and then I arrived, there was one point for, like, a couple years where I would stand behind her at the bar for company class, and, like, 13-year-old me was like, I would also say Lauren Anderson and also Michaela DePrince, of course, it started at 1st position when I was little as well. So, yeah, those are a few, and Brooklyn Mack, he's amazing.
For me, I'd say Ingrid Silva. She's at DTH. She's been a big mentor of mine, so she was kind of my role model in a lot of different ways. Also Lauren Anderson. Um, and I had one more and I forgot her. Oh no. But I think those were like the main two for me.
Yeah, I think for me, because I was like a very Balanchine girl, I really loved Aisha Ash at New York City Ballet. Um, Deborah Austin was another one. I was just like, because I was just obsessed with anything Balanchine. So seeing women that looked like me in that realm was really, really awesome. Obviously, the women that you both mentioned, love all of them as well. Definitely looked up to them. I think for me, honestly, like Carell Cruz at PNB was like my biggest role model just because I saw someone that was like black but was not African American. So for me, like I'm half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, and I think I'm kind of in this weird like I'm in this weird intersection where I am a black woman, but I am also a Latina woman. And so like seeing someone that I could identify both of those that spoke Spanish, but still was a black person on stage, I think that was yeah, really inspiring to me. Obviously you too, Kiyon. I think you were obviously inspiring to me. Lindsay Deck was also inspiring to me. So yeah.
Great. I mean, that it's so nice that, it's like as the years go by, we see more and more people who look like us on these large ballet stages. I mean, in the US and also in Europe. So I think that you all will soon become those people that younger dancers will start to say, these are the people who I saw on stage, who inspired me, who helped me know that it was possible for me to dance as well. So, I mean, there's been a lot of progress made, I think, but I think that there's still more work to do. Are there things that you all see or would like to see change even more in terms of the work that's happening around the country, around the world in terms of inclusion and diversity?
I'll take it. I think that I'm so enjoying seeing more black and brown people in the room. So like just getting us in the room, getting us on stage, like great first step. I want to see more people in the front of the room, which Kiyon, you are now at the front of the room as our associate artistic director, which is just wonderful. But I want to see more of that. I want to see more ballets and more works made with our cultures and our ancestry in mind. Most ballets stem from Europe. It is around a lot of the same types of tropes, whether that's through gender, race, culture. And so I just want to see a lot more diversity in the stories that we're telling. Because even for someone like me, like playing a role that maybe is more Eurocentric, like I can do that and it's great and I can relate to it because I'm a human. But having something that maybe feels more of like my background or my culture that I can really dig into, I would just love to see that happen more for people of color in ballet in particular.
Destiny?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing Amanda said about seeing more people in the front of the room, more diversity in the front of the room, but also, and I know this takes time, but just seeing more Black people in leading roles, doing even if they are the more like traditional stories, like I still want to see more of that. There's so much talent everywhere, and so it's definitely possible. So it just needs to happen. So
Yeah. And Audrey?
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. And yeah, because it's important for Black dancers to feel welcome in an audition room. I mean, y'all can probably relate to like going into a summer intensive audition when you're younger and being the only Black person there. And um, part of that could be a lack of confidence from
Mhm.
dancers. And so I feel like that needs to be instilled because growing up, my mom like always told me, push yourself to the front. It's gonna be harder for you. Unfortunately, that's how it is in this world. Like she would always tell my sister and I growing up, like, you gotta be like 10 times better than the white person standing next to you. Like that was just a thing. And I feel like that just like needs to be, or just pushing yourself needs to be taught more, and just keeping these honest conversations and the table open, and like y'all said, having more people in the front of the room that are Black, because it's just different. So yeah, sorry, I'm like piggybacking on you two, but I just agree with everything that y'all said.
I love that, Audrey, that sort of giving advice to younger dancers who may not be in situations where they see themselves around them on a daily basis. Amanda and Destiny, do you have anything to add to that? Like, what advice would you give other young dancers who may not be in an experience like you are, where you wake up and you get to see yourself represented every day?
I think one thing that I thought a lot, because that was not always my experience, was getting to see, people that looked like me every day. For most of my life, it was not like that. And so a lot of it, I just kind of always based it and stripped it down to like doing it for the sake of the art. I want to I want to dance for the sake of the art. This is what makes me passionate. And so no matter what anyone tells me or how I may feel isolated and stuff, like I always have to come back to the moments when I was like a little child, like 2 or 3, and just remembering like my love of dance. Like that's why we all do this. And so even all these things that can feel so like drastic and like setting us back, at the end of the day, like we all just want to dance. And so if you just go for it, regardless of what anyone says, I think you will. I'd much rather that than not go for it, and hold myself back and not think I can't do it and then regret it later. So, yeah.
That's right.
I think for me, just like I grew up doing kind of other styles than ballet, so I did see more people like me. I trained at Deviana Dance Academy, so there were a lot of other like Black dancers there, and we did a lot of like hip hop and modern and jazz. So those were more of like I saw other people like me, and then that big transition from like when I was 13 to like me being like there's like one or two of us in the room was it was like, I guess at that age, it didn't register like, oh, wow, this is shocking. Like, this was a change. For me now, looking back, I can see it. But in the
Mhm.
moment, and I still feel this way, it's kind of something similar to what Amanda said earlier. But like, my career or like what I'm doing is bigger than me. And I think that's been like the motivating force of getting myself through hard times or when I'm feeling down. It's like, even if I don't see anyone doing what, if I don't see anyone at the front of the room or if I don't see anyone doing this role, like I'm going to do it. So I can be that for someone else because someone has to do it, right? So I think that's just been a big motivating thing for me. And I think that's the advice I give younger dancers. If you don't see someone doing it, you can. And there's nothing stopping you, other than yourself. So just kind of push yourself to be that person that you want to be because so many people, younger generations, other generations are going to admire you so much for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. Like now being a leader in the front of the room at, a large ballet company in the US, I mean, that means so much to me. And like you all have been saying, this career that I'm having is much bigger than myself. It's about showing representation and showing other people that it is possible to move through your dance career, to retire and to transition and stay in the dance world and still be able to make changes and still be able to show other people the possibilities that are available to them. And I think that we're all doing it. I admire each of you so much. I love watching you on stage. I love watching you in the studio. I love watching you work and how you show up every day. And I know that each of you are going to inspire not only our audiences here in Seattle, but also around the world. So I thank you for your contributions to PNB, and I'm so glad that all of you are members of the Pacific Northwest Ballet. It means so much to me. So thank you for talking to me today, and I hope you all enjoyed this conversation with all of us. And if you have questions, you can always email them to pnb.org, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone.